Hello and welcome to Storytime Reddit. Today's story comes from r/EntitledParents. We have 4 stories lined up. First is, my neighbor has been yelling at his parents for hours. Second story, my entitled stepmom let my stepsister break my birthday present before I got it, then tried to take the replacement back. Third story, I give away a lot of my child stuff on Facebook Marketplace for free when they outgrow it. The amount of parents that expect me to deliver it to them for free is astounding. Fourth and final story is, Karen's sister rebranded gifts I bought for my nephew as being from Santa. So, I cannot sleep because my next door neighbor is yelling at his folks. We will call him Yeller. They moved into his house temporarily because a tree fell on their house. Yeller is helping them pay for it, and we didn't hear about any trouble with them for the 2 weeks they have been in the neighborhood. Apparently, though, they are the type of people that thinks that buying too many expensive things make you snobbish. From what I can overhear, yes, I know I shouldn't be listening in, but I can't sleep, they had been selling off some of his stuff. Game and game consoles. Watches, clothes, I believe. Apparently, they were putting that money towards groceries, so it sounds like they are not keeping that money for themselves. They did this yesterday and today. Oh wow, apparently Yeller went out to dinner with his girlfriend and was proposing to her. Only when he opened the ring box, did he find that the ring wasn't in there. Parents took it and pawned it for gas money and cleaning supplies. Wow, I don't think his parents are staying there much longer. They even pulled out the "your stuff is our stuff" card and calling him spoiled. I am hearing him yell at them to get out of his house. Honestly? In what reality is it okay to sell off your host's stuff? Kid or not, that is rotten. Think they are quieting down a bit. Hopefully I can sleep now. Update. Found out he called the cops on his folks. He is going to make them sweat a bit until they agree to get his stuff back. Or he will press charges. Update again. Sorry, I forgot to put this down. I did ask about how he didn't notice that the ring was gone until he proposed. Because I checked in the box earlier in the morning, I put it in the jacket I was going to wear and thought I didn't need to check again. I did ask how his girlfriend reacted, and she was as upset as he was, but they just both concluded that the ring might have fallen out or slipped out. He didn't want to think that his parents had anything to do with it right off the bat. She said yes, by the way. And this is how you end up disowned by your child. And it makes your child's life so much better that they have zero interest in reconciling. Even if the son is paying for most of it, the situation definitely sounds like the parents are stealing and selling his things to pay for their share of the roof bill or other bills, vices they secretly have. No one sells an engagement ring that doesn't belong to them for grocery money. Drugs, maybe? Because this is what addicts will do in a heartbeat with no moral quarrel. Yeller should send them off on their own. They betrayed his trust and hospitality and pissed on every normal boundary. They are not parents. Now for our second story, my entitled stepmom let my stepsister break my birthday present before I got it, then tried to take the replacement back. I, 14-year-old male, really like steam trains, and my favorites are from Britain. My parents are divorced, and both my mom and dad got remarried. My stepmom has 2 daughters from another marriage, Kelly, who's 18, and Anne, who's 9. When I was 12, I started mowing lawns and walking dogs so I could get some money and start collecting models. Since there's so many different models out there and so many liveries, I decided to limit myself to preserved locomotives in the liveries they're preserved in, and unique locomotives. This Christmas, my mom and stepdad surprised me with 4 out of the 6 preserved A4s, Mallard, Mitten, Union of South Africa, and Dominion of Canada. On my birthday, January 14, I asked my mom, stepdad, dad, and stepmom for the remaining 2 A4s, Dwight D. Eisenhower and Sir Nigel Gressley, and my mom and stepdad got me Sir Nigel Gressley and the rebuilt W1. I went to my dad's the next day and saw my dad, stepmom, and stepsisters. So my birthday was yesterday, and my mom and stepdad got me Sir Nigel Gressley and surprised me with the rebuilt W1. I went to my dad's house today and saw my dad, stepmom, and stepsisters. I opened my gifts, and when I was done, my dad went and brought another bag out. I pulled out the tissue paper, and there was a model train inside. I pulled it out, but before I could look at it, the model fell out. I looked at the box, and the back was ripped out. I showed my dad, and he looked confused when stepmom chimed in, "Oh, Anne threw a tantrum, so I let her play with that last week." I took a closer look at the model, and the paint was all scratched and the side rods were bent. One of the axles was cracked too. I was really pissed that Anne did so much damage, and my stepmom just put it back into the box. I was pissed since I don't have much there, and the little bit of stuff I do have there, Anne's broken. I angrily asked, "Why do you let her break everything of mine?" And my stepmom said, Just get over it already. I snapped, said, I will when you stop letting Anne be so spoiled and start being a better parent. That pissed her off, and she called me an ungrateful a-hole. I asked my dad to take me home, and he did. I talked to my dad a little on the ride home, and he said he would get me a replacement. He came with a replacement today after school with Stepmom and Anne. I thanked them, and my dad made Anne apologize. I felt kind of awkward because I had nothing to talk about, so I asked if they wanted to watch me run it in. They came to my room, and my stepmom saw the other 5 A4s and the W1. The W1 got rebuilt with an A4 boiler, so they look similar. It started to flip out that I wasted their money, and she tried to take the model from me. My mom and stepdad came in before she could grab it and asked what happened, and my stepmom told them that I wasted their money because I already have models like the one they got me. My mom tried to explain that it looks similar because it's part of the same class, but my stepmom wasn't having it. My stepmom tried to grab it again, but my stepdad intervened and kicked them out. My stepmom started to make a scene, but my dad seemed embarrassed and quickly said, "Let's just go," and grabbed Anne and my stepmom hands and pulled them to the car. Aside from your stepmom, your parents sound awesome. Try not to blame Anne too much, though. She's as bad as her mom lets her be. Aside from that, I think it's amazing that you're into trained models. If I didn't already have an expensive hobby, I'd probably be right with you. I also love that your mom and stepdad knew about the differences. This might sound bad, but you might have to limit your time with your dad if she doesn't change. And it's your dad's fault as he isn't stepping up and protecting you from her. And happy late B-Day. OP. I think I do have to limit my time with him since he's not stepping up, and thank you. I don't spend the night. I don't even have a room there. I only go visit twice a month. And now for our third story. I give away a lot of my child stuff on Facebook Marketplace for free when they outgrow it. The amount of parents that expect me to deliver it to them for free is astounding. Whenever my child outgrows something, I try to give it to another family that needs it. I usually clean the item up and post it with pickup only and a generalized area of where I live. Usually with everything I post, I get at least one person message me a sob story about how they don't have a car and they ask me to deliver it. I don't deliver it because I'm already trying to do a nice thing by giving away stuff that I could easily sell. I've given away high chairs, bouncers, ride-on cars, and once an entire kids' outdoor play castle with a slide. I had one woman ask me to deliver it and then get mad at me because I refused to put the castle on hold for her because she was going to ask around to see if someone she knew could come get it. She then demanded to know if I had any other kids' things I could give her for free because I wasted her time. Right now, I'm trying to give away overnight pull-up diapers. It's half a pack sealed. It's free. It says what area I'm close to so people can decide if it's too far to drive to get it before they message me. I got one person message me asking where I live. I gave them the general area and they said, "Oh no, it's too far. I don't have a car, but I really want this. Can you drop it off? I live in town that is 45 minutes away from me." I told them I wasn't planning on driving to that town anytime soon and asked for gas money, and they replied, "I thought they were free. It would be cheaper for me to just go buy diapers. I don't have a car, so I was hoping you'd bring them to me." It's always with the kid stuff I give away for free. I'm tired of being treated like I'm an a-hole for not wanting to drive all over the place to deliver stuff for free. I'm trying to be nice, but I'm not a effing charity. My aunt, nicest woman you'll meet, had this happen with a washer on Marketplace. She had a guy get a hold of her and tell her he really needed a washer. His broke and he's raising 6 kids alone, but willing to pay the low price she had on it. IIRC $50. But could she hold it until the weekend? Very understanding, super nice. At the same time, a woman texted her, "Can you take less? I only have $20. You'll deliver. I need it now." Very rude. My aunt explained she'll have to wait as the guy asked first. Women gets even ruder, more demanding, starts name-calling. Complete ass. My aunt got so mad she loads the washer on her truck, calls the guy and asks where he lives, about 45 minutes away, drops the washer off, no money, and even hooks it up for him. Guy and his kids are grateful and nice. My aunt then texts the woman and tells her in detail what she did and ends with, "Just so I could tell you to go to hell." It's always funny when nice people get pissed. OP. That is way too funny. My husband told me I should throw the diapers in a dumpster and take a picture and send it to the lady. And now for our fourth and final story. Karen's sister rebranded gifts I bought for my nephews as being from Santa. This happened during Christmas last year. My older sister has always been a handful, one might say. She would generally act entitled, But then, when someone makes her back off, she goes back to acting normal for a while before starting it all over. She got married a decade ago and has 2 young sons that are 5 and 6. And every year she makes sure there's something extra under the tree from Santa for them, which we're all fine with. But Christmas of 2021, she did something that blew my mind. The Christmas Eve gatherings with the whole family are usually held at my grandparents' house. That way, the individual families have their personal celebrations on Christmas Day with their own kids, or with families of SOs or spouses. Last year, I was worried I might not make it to the Christmas Eve party, as I was away on some personal matters. So I shipped the presents I got for relatives pre-wrapped in a large box to my grandparents' house just in case. But I did manage to make it home the day before Christmas Eve by driving through several states. Everything went well, and we had the big dinner with both turkey and ham. I'm a real sucker for the turkey. Then came time for gifts. We draw straws for who passes around the gifts among the younger members of the family, and my 15-year-old cousin pulled the short straw. Everything was good until the presents I got for my nephews were passed to them. All the presents I sent in advance used the same wrapping paper, so it was pretty obvious after a while which ones were from me. But when the 2 boys got the ones I gave them, my sister pointed to new name labels on them both that were clearly pasted over the ones I'd put on them and exclaimed they were from Santa, which made the 2 boys eagerly open them and shout with glee. I was pretty angry, and my sister saw it on my face. She pulled me aside to talk, and I asked her what the hell she thought she was doing. She beat around the bush for a moment and said that since she thought I wasn't going to make it to Christmas that year, that it would have been better if the kids thought the gifts were from Santa. I was furious and yelled at her. That caught the attention of my grandmother, who'd also knew what happened. She begged me to keep quiet about the false Santa gifts, but I blew up over her wanting to rug sweep. And that attracted half the family into the kitchen to ask what all the yelling was about. My sister tried to say something, but I spoke over her that she'd rebranded the gifts I got for my nephew as being from Santa. My grandfather looked at her and said, "Is this true?" My sister looked emotional and then did what she usually did when called out on something this bad. She started sobbing like a little kid and crouched down on the floor to have a pity party. Between sobs, she kept trying to defend herself, but the only one that was buying into her act was my grandmother, who only made more excuses, like what my sister said. They thought I wasn't going to be there. It was for the sake of the children, etc., etc. My grandfather was unfazed, though, and he, along with several other members of the family, said that she needed to make it up to me for this, because that means the boys technically got nothing from me that they knew of, when I clearly gave them nice expensive gifts that now they won't know ever came from me just because of what my sister did. My grandmother finally backed off and briefly sided with the rest of us before going out to the living room to watch the kids. I then had an idea and said that I will give each of my nephews $50 bills from my wallet, and I expect to be paid that money back and get paid back for the gifts that were no longer from me because my sister had commandeered them. My brother-in-law sighed and agreed, then dragged my sister to the garage to have words with her. I gave my nephews each a crisp $50 bill and told them to buy whatever they like with it. My sister spent the rest of the evening almost silent. No more tears or anything. Just silent. She may as well have been a mannequin on display or something, and before I left, my brother-in-law promised my sister will personally pay me back. I thought I was going to have to wait a good while to get the money back, but yesterday, my sister and brother-in-law came knocking at my door, and my sister meekly handed me an envelope with $200 in it and apologized to me. She started to make more excuses for what she did when brother-in-law told her to just stop, because what she did was a crummy thing and she knows there was no excuse for it. So she just apologized one more time and walked back to their car loudly sniffling on a tissue. My brother-in-law told me that $200 came out of my sister's account, and that was basically her fun money for this month. And maybe having a leaner month will teach her a lesson. Probably not, though. Edit. Sorry, I forgot to include my gender in this. I'm a guy in my early 30s. Good for you, and good for brother-in-law to take it out of her fun money. OP. It should teach her not to do something like rebranding gifts from someone else again, but I doubt she'll change. She used to take credit for stuff she didn't do a lot, which is why the family all know what she's like. Did your brother-in-law know what he was signing up for when he married your sister? Because it sounds like he has to parent her along with 2 actual children. It seems like she likely doesn't have a job, so her contribution is what exactly? Being a crappy person and embarrassing herself and her spouse in front of others? It's also interesting how your brother-in-law says it was taken out of her fun money like she's a child who receives a chore allowance from their parents. Is he sick of her shit? I'm always curious and baffled why seemingly responsible, mature adults get involved with or marry adult children, be it man children or women children. OP. My sister put up quite the act when she was dating brother-in-law before they married. About a year after they were married, she let her real self out. And as soon as she was pregnant, she quit her job and just sponged off her husband. Thankfully, the lot of us convinced him to get a signed prenup before marrying my sister, and that mostly keeps my sister in line. Because with that prenup, if he ever divorced her, she'd be screwed out of everything but child support, and she knows it. I know he'd leave her in a heartbeat if she ever had an affair, as he openly says that cheating is a deal breaker. After the incident with the credit cards, brother-in-law watches their credit a lot, so she can't open a new one without him knowing. The marriage is already on thin ice, and we really don't know how long it'll last. Brother-in-law seems to still love my sister in some way, but he doesn't give her everything she wants, which she initially tried to do. The past decade, he's been gradually unentitling her. She went crying to everyone at one point that he was being financially controlling towards her, but not letting her use credit cards in his name. But we all sided with brother-in-law on that, even my enabling grandmother. Brother-in-law has also made it clear that when the kids are old enough to not need to be babysat anymore, my sister will be made to get a job again. And he's even been mulling over the idea of finding my sister a job she can do from home and watch the kids, which I think is a good idea. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. I hope you'll come again soon. Bye for now.